Krueger is your personal hero. Our chemistry is sub-zero. Creepy but the costume was too long, so I looked like this trench ball instead of the horror. Was my Ghostbuster, right? But for the sake of the joke, and because I was able to rhyme creepier and Sigourney Weaver together, which is very impressive, I'm going to keep it in there. So Halloween sex signs funny, but it's true. Jesus Christ. Not to mention all the racist costumes. Mexican not a valid costume. And if you think we need to see that, then you didn't go to my high school. What? I'm in the middle of entertaining. Sorry. What? So, Halloween, 2019. I'm at work getting ready to give a presentation on something I had worked very hard on and did not care about at all. You guys know, having a job. I gave my presentation, sat back down in my seat, and saw that I had a missed call from my mom and a text message that said, call me. Just then, the next call your mom. Two things go through my head at that point. Something terrible happened to my sister, or my grandma died. I'm gonna level with you. I'm hoping it's my grandma. Not because I don't love my grandma. I'm just way more prepared for Bonnie to get your 21-year-old sister. See, my grandma has been going through as long as I have known her. I one time suggested to her that she should hook up with a friend of hers after her third marriage. She told me that she was too close to him to have sex with anyone new, which is exactly how it works. So I left the room a little bit out of the drama. We're going to do some. It's very hot to be the person who has too many urgent things happening. It's very Renee's Years early 2003. So my mom, she doesn't pick up. Classic Kelly. And then my boyfriend calls. At this time, my boyfriend and I had been together for 4 years, but he had called me 3 times. This time, obviously. Once when we both had married in a train station, and once when he was lost in a mall. My boyfriend, unfortunately, is also my child. Hey, what is going on? What? I'm at work. Okay. I feel like something is happening. You're at work? Yeah, babe. It's 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning. We live together. You know where I am. I'm gonna come get you. Okay. I feel like something is going on, and you know what it is. I don't know with anybody. My mom isn't answering me either. Is my dad okay? And that, and that is how my boyfriend became the person to tell me that my dad had died. Which is super, super fucked up of him, if we're going to be really honest. Just then, my work nemesis approached me wearing angel wings, asking me who my boss was. Like, fuck off, Kelsey. Do you realize how inappropriate it is to be wearing angel wings right now? My dad just died. And I don't know if any of us have ever thought about the outfit that we're going to be wearing for one of our parents. It's certainly not a Kim Possible costume. I have lipstick on one lip, and my dad died. Anyway, we told Kelsey to drink. Wondering again, an hour. I'm on a plane to Houston, Texas. My dad's name was Bob. 16 when he died of a heart attack as he was leaving the gym. And as much as I assumed that he wanted to die with dignity, he actually ended up dying in front of a rock wall, which is not even close. My dad actually also died at a gym called Lifetime, which, if the value proposition of Lifetime is to be a customer for life, yeah, anyway, my parents met at a party thrown by the Christian Singles Organization. It was a bump, and it was a good players table and a bad players table. The good players table was all the women, obviously, and a guy named Robin. The bad players table was all the men and my mom. My mom saw my dad and thought he seemed like a dick, which, for sure. But over the course of conversation, she would mention more about me. Oh. At the very end of the night, my dad went around and gathered up all the balloons at the party to give to my mom to give to me for my birthday. What about me, right? I actually asked my mom how she would like to be spoken about in this show, and this is what she said. She's right. She is a bitch, and you know what? I'm proud to call my bitch a mom. Back to my dad. Sorry. My dad had the capability of making me the smartest person in the world. You know, absolutely nothing. He would overcomplicate things so that if you asked a question about it, you were actually the asshole for not getting it. But that fits because our relationship was pretty complicated too. I loved him, but I didn't really like him. We were close when I was younger. In fact, he told me one time that he fell in love with me before he fell in love with my mom, which is a crock of shit because this is my mom. Total smoke show. He actually asked my mom within about 3 months of them dating if he could adopt me if things got serious between them. And when they finally got married, and they finally said I do, I began calling Mr. Bob Dad. This would actually begin a long series of my life of slapping labels on my relationships with men prematurely, as he had not adopted me yet. But over the years, over the years, we fought a lot more, right? By the time I hit high school, we couldn't even be in the same. My dad was speaking, I was too young. My mom was sure ready to hang either of us out the window, send us tumbling to our deaths. But in the later years of my dad's life, he got a lot softer and we got closer. I felt like we were going to finally have the relationship I always wanted to have with my dad. I think a lot of us want relationships with our families, fulfilling, functional, and some of us over time realize that we have shitty parents and that kind of relationship just isn't possible. But we never really stop wishing that it was, right? So over quarantine, I got very, very good at impressions. I'm going to do one for you now. And I want you to guess who it is, okay? Of course. How could you not? It's my younger sister. At our kitchen island, in front of a lot of people. When my sister found out that my dad died, she was living in a 3-story townhouse in college off campus. And when she found out what had happened, she screamed so loud that her roommate on the 3rd floor thought that somebody had broken into their home and was assaulting my sister. And instead of getting something heavy to hit the guy with, which no, it would have been a guy, or calling the cops, this roommate jumped out of her 3rd-story window, breaking her arm and her leg. So, in a fight or flight situation, this bitch was the most flight you could possibly get. The biggest difference between me and my sister is that my sister is highly emotional. Well, that and we have different dads. So let's just lay this all out so that everybody has the context. So my adoptive father, the titular dad, the one who died twice, the reason we are all here, is my sister's biological father. We share the same biological mother. So anyway, The other big thing that's different between me and my sister is that my sister is highly emotional. She hears bad news and bam, she's immediately processing. She's immediately crying. And when she does that, the only thing that I can do is laugh at her. But just so we all know, if anyone laughs at me, I will immediately start crying. What did I just fucking say? I've always actually envied my sister's ability to do that, to fly off the handle and be so clear and so concise on what she's feeling at any given moment. But I'm a liberal, and we are always confused on which things to care about. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is my first time without script. I'm kind of panicking. I'm always confused on which things to care about. For example, sorry y'all. For example, my parents' relationship was not all sunshine and rainbows, right? And one night they were having a really big fight. My sister was about 9, so I was around 17. And my sister, during the fight, came downstairs and asked my mom very earnestly, "Are you and Dad gonna get divorced?" My mom looked at my sister and said, "I am never, ever gonna leave your dad." During that same fight, I stood at the top of the stairs and screamed, "Just get divorced! You hate each other!" So we're different. But in the eyes of my mom, we are exactly the same. I remember when my sister was born, I was around 8, and I was not handling it very well. And I asked my mom, if there was a fire, and you could only save one kid, which kid would you save? You guys know, we all did this. And my mom said to me, "I would take you and your sister in the bedroom, and we would all die together." She rules. So, as anyone who's been, oftentimes come out Remember that? I was 5 when I met you. That's before 9/11, so there's perspective for you. Hey, doctor, I hate your casserole. That's food for livestock. Blow it out your casserole. You're not in my family. I don't really tolerate my family. I know I may sound harsh. I know I seem like a bitch. But when your dad dies alone in a parking lot, surrounded by none of his friends. Yikes! Hey, Goddard! Hey, Goddard! Bless your heart. So, the morning of the funeral, my mom, sister, and I all gather into our upstairs bathroom to get ready together. And I know what you guys might be thinking. Yes, we all look gorgeous. See? Are you kidding? What a gorgeous family. We asked my dad's best friend, Jeff, and fucking Pam's husband to give a eulogy at the service. We hate her. To give a eulogy at the service. It's supposed to start at 10 a.m. At 9:30, my mom gets a phone call that goes something like this. Hello?
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Jeff.
Listen, I can't make it to the service. I ate some Jack in the Box last night. Yeah, I think I might have given food poisoning.
So you're telling me that you can't come give the eulogy at your best friend's funeral because you have diarrhea?
Yeah, I'm really
And
sorry.
that you just created another problem for me. I hope you feel better. First of all, my mom's handling of that situation was top fucking notch. And if you didn't know, in 1993, Jack in the Box was responsible for the most notable food poisoning ever on record. They gave E. coli to 732 people and killed 4 people. 4 people, and not just people, children. And unfortunately, none of the children that they killed in the situation were Jeff. So, we head over to the funeral home to say hi to Dad. And I'm standing next to the cadaver. Before that happened, we get to the funeral home and we are affronted with this. That is a full-size blanket with my dad's face on it that we did not ask for, nor were we made aware of. Is this normal? Does everyone get a death blanket? And if so, am I supposed to use death blanket as a blanket? And if I am supposed to, is it a throw blanket or do I fold it? And if I do fold it, do I fold it so that my loved one's face is facing out or inside out of respect? If I were to say, fart into death blanket, does he? Surely not, right? Of course not, that's crazy. Anyway, so we go in, I'm standing next to the cadaver, and who comes up to me with her cigarette breath and her tan slacks, making it look like she's not wearing any pants? Fucking Pam, that's exactly right, that's exactly right. She comes up to me and she says, Jeff's really sick. Yeah, I know, I heard he's going due to his diabetes. And she asked me if I need somebody to do the eulogy for him. And I say, no, we're gonna have one of the pallbearers read it. And she says, okay, well, change your mind. Rachel was really good in her high school drama class. Look, I don't want to be a bitch, right? But it seems to me that this woman is suggesting that her daughter do the eulogy at my dad's funeral for her real. Look, we were all good in our high school drama class, right? It's fucking high school, but never in my days as silly girl number 2 in Beauty and the Beast. A spoon, also in Beauty and the Beast. Understudying the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. about how people dress, but when you wear the world's worst shoe to my dad's funeral, you don't then get to go on stage and draw attention to yourself. Now, you guys might be wondering, Sydney, what is the world's worst shoe? I'm gonna let my friend Kim explain.
I don't really know how to say this, other than to just say it. You're amazing. The best I've ever had. But things just aren't working out. Well, that's not completely true. I am working out. It's not someone else. It's something else. Hello, Sheba. My shoes.
So, one thing I will not stand for is fat phobia in the church. And this bitch wore the most fat phobic shoe with a red dress to my dad's funeral. So, we're getting ready to head out to the church. And Rachel comes up to me and my mom, and she says, "Can I put this in Bob's casket?" This could be anything. For someone like Rachel, I'm assuming it's a pack of Newports. She opens her hand to reveal an acorn. More specifically, the top of an acorn. She says it's meant to symbolize Peter Pan kisses. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, lose my mind. So my dad was not a man of whimsy. He thought feelings were gay. I want to be clear that the only 2 times I ever saw my dad cry in my entire life were when his mom died and at the 2004 Republican National Convention. So if you guys don't know the story of Peter Pan, I'm going to explain it very quickly. So Winky offers to give Peter a kiss, but he has grown up in the woods and does not know what that is. So he holds out his hand waiting for a kiss, and she gives him a thimble. Peter then offers to give her a kiss back, but again, he's a fucking idiot. And he gives her an acorn. She says she'll wear it around her necklace and bake with them, which, now that you know the story, makes perfect fucking sense to give to a 60-year-old man who just died of a heart attack. And not to mention, the acorns in Texas are huge. So this is less of a Peter Pan kiss and more of a Peter Pan blowjob. My mom, to my surprise, says, "Sure." My mom then looks at me and says, "Get that out of there. It's not a fucking garbage can." This is probably as hard as it's Okay, so we head out to the limo, not to brag, to take us to the church. And we get in, and right away, something is amiss. A familiar but distant melody is playing, and then all of a sudden, I hear this. Yeah, so in a minor oversight, this limo driver left on his own music in a car full of very stressed out white people. And normally, I wouldn't care because that's on fucking rips, but it's a little inappropriate for the occasion. So we get to the church, it's full of flowers. My mom, sister, and I are then escorted to another room that is only for family, so we can begin the processional. I need you guys to understand that in the Baptist church, when they say 1 o'clock, they mean 1 o'clock. And you better have your ass out of the church at 1:55. You can breathe on the fucking sidewalk. My mom goes first, then me, then my sister. The rest of the family dukes it out behind us. And then, guess who's there in line just as the processional is about to start? Fucking Pam! That's right! She whips around the corner and goes, "Jeff's on his way! He's coming right now!" So I don't know if you guys have experienced something exactly like this. But it's kind of like going to the gynecologist. I know a handful of you will not be able to relate to that either. But men don't think I'm funny anyway, so you guys are not talking Anyway, so imagine, you're on the table, your legs are in the stirrups, and the gynecologist says, we're gonna examine you, but we don't have any lube. And he holds up the speculum, and he says, is that okay? And you're thinking, I don't know, lube would make this whole thing a lot easier, but I guess it's fine, right? And then you mentally prep, because you know it's gonna be freezing, while simultaneously feeling like you're going down a slide in the middle of summer, that like, that feeling, but it's in your pussy. So. And you're thinking to yourself, should I have asked a different doctor to do this? Maybe a more reliable doctor who maybe doesn't go to Jack in the Box that often. I don't know. And then, just as the speculum gets within a whiff of your vulva, a nurse bursts into the room and she says, don't do anything! We have lube coming right now! It's down at the loading dock where the bodies usually go! And lube, of course, sounds great right now, because that was the original plan, and you've never had an exam without lube before, but you've already mentally prepped, all your holes are out, and you're pretty sure that this doctor wants you out of his office by 1:55 because he has a hysterectomy at 2, so you just say, fuck it, let's just do it! It's kind of like that. Instead of saying, fuck it, let's just do it, my mom, sister, and I turned our heads all the way around, like a family of owls. Our eyes turned completely black, and we let out a shriek that, legend has it, brought my dad back to life very briefly. Pam was then shackled by the authorities and allowed to watch the funeral via live stream on her way to jail. Her crime, of course, was never reading the room, and also being the Zodiac killer. Then it was my turn to give the eulogy, which turns out to be my tightest 5 of the year. I went second in the lineup, which is a little bit fucked up that I didn't get to headline my own dad's funeral, but fine. And I stood at the pulpit and looked out among everyone that my dad had ever known and honored the life of a man that I loved but did not really know or care to hang out with. And I fucking crushed that shit. Look, it's not about me. It's really not. It's about honoring the legacy of my dad, but it is a little bit about me. So I got applause during a eulogy in the Baptist church in the South. I need you guys, you're not understanding the magnitude of this. This is insane. I'm George Carlin. Okay, you have to understand. What are you laughing at? No, okay, so it's kind of a rule within the Baptist church that you do not clap, no matter how good anything is, right? So it's like if Neil Armstrong were to have landed on the moon and he said, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And ground control said, thanks, Neil, and turned the TV off. It's not that. I said Neil Armstrong, right? I think I wanted to say Lance. Okay. Double checking. It's late. Okay. So we then head to the internment to go ahead and bury my dad. I should mention right now, my dad was a big man, like 6'3", 320, huge dude. And we buried him in a solid wood box. So all told, his pallbearers are lifting probably close to 600 pounds. The problem with that is that my dad's pallbearers are old as shit and haven't been to the gym in a long time. And if they have, they absolutely are the guys who go swimming. I was like 2 or 3 old men just walking around. Anyway, all this to say, anytime they picked him up, they nearly dropped him. You guys know when you're making pancakes and you're getting ready to flip one, you kind of do one of these, this move here. My dad is a 320-pound pancake. We buried my dad with one of those, like, what do you call it, like the double-decker, double-wide gravestones, the ones with like 2 people on them. It's usually spouses. I guess it could be like a sibling or a cousin, or you could do it with a friend. It would be so fucking weird, but you could do it. My mom bought a plot to the left of my dad, so their headstone said, Kelly and Bob together forever. Then, as we left the internment, we went back to my house for a reception where there were about 200 bottles of wine and 100 people ready to give their condolences. And I think we all know what this means, right? More attention for me, thank you. Funeral attention is actually the best kind of attention because everyone is so sweet to you and you do not have to be sweet back. And everyone is just fucking cool about that. But another thing that is surely very well meaning but completely unhinged that people do at funerals is talk to you about someone that they knew who died. Whether it's their own parent, their sibling, their dog, fucking doggy or whatever, anyone, everyone has advice for how you should be dealing with this loss. That's not helping, is what I'd like to say to folks who can't mind their business. Don't try to make me feel better. Take your whip-lap love and shove it up your ass. So, when my dad died initially, a woman named Sheila reached out to my family. I had never heard of Sheila in my entire life. And the first thing she asked was, how did he die? And then she felt the need to remind my mom of how lucky she was to be married to my dad, even if only for 22 years. That's not helping. I know you're only trying to relate to our sadness, but that's not helping. I also just assumed you used to fuck my dad. That's not helping. Sheila's profile picture was just 2 toy poodles. So if you're gonna reach out to your ex-boyfriend's widow, at least show your face so we can see who aged better. So when I came home the night that my dad died, fucking Pam was already in our backyard chain smoking. Fucking Pam has no boundaries at all. And she said to me, my dad died 30 years ago. It never gets easier. And I cried for him every day since. This feels like the motherfucking Greek Olympics, and you're losing because my dad's body's still warm. So my grandma's friend Pam came up to me during the reception and said, oh, you're the one who lives in New York. Yes, I said. Oh, well, I have family in Connecticut, she said. Cool, I said. Well, actually, it's funny. My cousin married a prima ballerina from the New York Ballet, she said. Amazing. And then she said, well, it's actually a sad story because my cousin had an intellectually disabled son. I'm going to stop here for just a second. I think we all know that this is not the language that Karen used. A 78-year-old woman from Dallas, Texas, did not use the National Disability Authority's approved term for someone with an intellectual disability. But it is the term that I'm going to use because I am not an asshole. So, my cousin had an intellectually disabled son before he married the prima ballerina. Then the two got married and they had a daughter together. She was perfect and the whole family just loved her. But then, one day, not realizing what he was doing, the son found a gun in the house, shot the daughter, and she died. That's not helping. You literally just put my dad in the ground. What would make you think that I need that right now? That's not helping. I know that you don't get that what you're doing is wrong, but congrats, you did it. Feel free to try again when we lose my mom. Me again. So, it's about 8 months after my dad died, and I came home for Father's Day, which is actually the way to do it because then you don't have to buy a Home Depot gift card. My mom and I had gotten in a huge fight the night before, and the night before that, and the night before that. We've been fighting kind of a lot, mostly about our grieving style. See, my mom is a Carrie Bradshaw, right? Chaotic, over the top. The only difference is that my mom's husband would actually rather die than touch a Peloton. My grieving style is more of a Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own, right? Unflinching, refusing to cry, because as we all know, there is no crying in grief. And also chewing a ton of tobacco. My sister and I had come home to go through some of my dad's things, tie up loose ends. Turns out my dad had a ton of shit. Countless photo albums of him in the 70s with his fraternity. Judging by the photos, the entire goal of the fraternity was to prove who was the most homosexual. Countless power tools, about 8,000 laptops. The term quality over quantity did not exist for my dad. My dad wanted the most of everything, even if the thing itself was not that great, which is why I had my sister. I came downstairs one morning, it's about 7:30, it's pouring rain, and I came down to see my mom. I came down to see my mom sitting in the dark, in silence. She's not looking at anything, she's not on her phone, she's not reading anything, she's just staring at a wall. And it's not even one of the more interesting walls. Like one with a picture of me on it. I then asked her if she was okay and what was going on, and she said to me, "There's something I found out, and I can't decide if I should tell you or not." Get absolutely fucking wrecked, bitch! Are you serious? You absolutely have to tell me. I told her she had to tell me because I've never been cool about anything. And I've never respected anyone's process when hot gossip is on the line. And then she just blurted it out. Gather round, take a seat. We're gonna learn vocabulary. That's just code for words you don't know. We'll start with one. That's my intention. The first word is penchant. Does anyone know what that means? It's rhetorical, I'm so sorry. It's a strong liking toward something or a tendency toward a thing. It's a strong liking toward something or a tendency toward a thing. So you've heard the word, or tried it once. Now I'll use it in a sentence. Sometimes that helps to clarify. My dad had a penchant for prostitutes. My dad had a penchant for prostitutes. Learning's fun, I'll have you know. There's a lot of words we'll use as we go. So let's just get them out of the way. So the hobbyist is a guy who fucks prostitutes on the side. What a cool hobby to have. A John is just the name we use, so no one knows about their ruse. Sorry if your real name is John. The GFE is the girlfriend experience, which is crazy, cause last time I checked, he had a wife. Let's keep it up, we'll learn as we go. I'm sure you'll leave with something you never planned to know, or maybe you did. In that case, you're welcome. One more thing I need to say, let's just get this out of the way before I tell you anymore. The sex workers are not the bad guys here. Okay, got it. The sex workers are not the bad guys here. I actually want to have everyone join me on this last one so that we are all on the same page. Okay, everybody? The sex workers are not the bad guys here. Hi. you might imagine, my mom did not deliver that news to me as gently as I have delivered it to you. She just said to me, your dad was fucking hookers. Simply does not work as a song. Oh god. Yeah, simply doesn't work as a song. And I'm gonna level with you. I have intrusive thoughts most of the time, but none more frequently than when I'm having sex. When I'm about to have an orgasm, I think, what if I didn't, right? Or, oh, my dog is enjoying the show. What if I lived inside of a traffic light instead of my own apartment? One of the first times my boyfriend and I ever had sex, I thought, what if he's my brother? All that to say, I absolutely did not need any more fodder for an intrusive thought, especially a sex one. And now, occasionally, I'll have a thought that I'm a prostitute and I'm fucking my dad! For the record, I do not like that one! So, you might be wondering, how did we find out this information? First thing I'm going to say, if you feel like you're about to die, change your passwords. It started earlier that week. My mom was going through my dad's Facebook, getting ready to shut it down. And she came across some messages. She was looking for shit. She came across some messages with my dad's college girlfriend. They were reminiscing about the old days, saying they wish they could do it all over again, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad said, I wish I could see you in the pearls I bought you and nothing else. Pearls, for real? I'm not even mad about sex stuff, honestly. But pearls? We're doing pearls. Okay. I know my dad thought that he was being sexy, but remember, he's a pretty low quality guy. So I can almost guarantee that the pearls in question looked like tiny little puppy teeth. So that conversation set off some alarm bells for my mom, right? And we were, so the evening of Father's Day, she was going through one of my dad's 1,000 iPads to rank them and potentially sell them when she came across some messages with an unsaved number. My dad asked, donations? Immediate red flag. My dad was not a charitable man. The closest he got to charity was buying Girl Scout cookies. The number responds, yes, $100 for an hour. Interesting. I did not know that charities took donations by the hour. My dad then says, okay. And she sends a link. Now you might be thinking, surely this is the link where he donates to a noble cause. Maybe he's gonna buy a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. Maybe that's all this is, right? No, you're very sweet. The link is to a Motel 6 in Houston, Texas, the least charitable motel in all of the US. Now, I start doing mental gymnastics, right? I'm like, maybe he's just gonna meet up with a friend. I'm doing all these mental gymnastics until my dad then says, please confirm you are not a member of law enforcement. Actually hilarious. My dad thought that he understood entrapment because he watched Fast and Furious movies. So that's actually not entrapment. This is entrapment. Thank you. So entrapment is when a cop coerces you to commit a crime that you were not going to commit and then arrests you for robbing or for committing that crime. Like if he forced you to rob a bank and then arrested you for robbing the bank, right? But if you've already got a ski mask on and your gun is in a bank teller's mouth, no cop is going to be like, hey, bud, you ever think about robbing banks? That's not entrapment. That's entrapment. And can you imagine knowing that jail is a possibility and still driving 45 minutes for a $100 leg? Especially when you could use $100 for like a ton of other shit, like Manny Petty or tickets to a mid-tier concert or like 4 pre-tax Swiffer wet jets, right? Like there's so many things. But I guess, in a sense, my dad was sticking to his guns as a fiscal conservative, right? $100 leg, $38 a night hotel. True Republican shit. And then, just to confirm that this woman was who we thought she was, we just Googled her phone number. Did you guys know that sex workers can just have websites? I did not know this, but apparently, as a sex worker, you can create what is essentially a Facebook for yourself, where you detail the things that you're willing to do, what you're into, the state of your pubes, truly, all of it. You can detail all of it. Maybe I'm naive, but I thought this was illegal. The most illegal thing that I have ever done is steal from Target and Sephora every single time I've gone in there since 2016. I am actually going to need you all to confirm that you are not members of Thank you. So, we spent the rest of the week going through the rest of my dad's technology and found that he had been hobbying since 2005, which is the year that I started high school, and I was 28 when he died. When it comes to my feelings on this, I gotta tell you, I didn't have very many. When my mom told me what had gone on, my first thought was, are we mad? Sad? Horny? Not horny. Oh, sorry. That was a little bit. Oh, sorry. Which seems kind of crazy, right? That I didn't know exactly how to feel about something like this. But that's actually my dad's legacy at work. So when I was younger, anytime I would have a big emotional reaction to anything, my dad would tell me that I was being too dramatic, which is actually insane because I'm obviously very shy. And hate the spotlight. But because I was told I was dramatic often enough, and I was having reactions frequently enough, those big reactions became medium reactions, became small reactions, and all the while, I was still too dramatic. So anytime I had a reaction to anything, I was being told I was too dramatic. So it stands to reason that I stopped trusting my own feelings about anything at all, right? So when I found out that my dad had betrayed our entire family, it makes sense that I didn't know how to feel about that, because that's exactly what he had trained me to do. And the thing that's harder for me about this is that my dad chose me, right? He chose to do one of the nobler things that I can think of, which is to raise another man's child. But the same man who adopted me, the same man who promised that he fell in love with me before he fell in love with my mom, the same man who swore up and down that he loved me and my sister, the exact same, regardless of our biology, still did this. It's like Toy Story. Okay, so you guys remember in Toy Story where the claw machine comes down and it picks up one of the little aliens and he says, farewell, my friends, I go off to a better place. And he fully believes that everything's going to be great. And then he realizes the person who's just bought him is Sid, the kid who literally dismembers toys for fun. That's what adoption by a flawed man is like. Okay. So now that we have all of this information, we have to kind of decide what to do with it, right? We have sort of two options. The first is to tell everyone we've ever known. The pros of this, obviously, are you never have to be made responsible for a man's decisions or shoulder his choices anymore, right? The cons are everybody now knows that your dad was super into hookers, including his old friends, family, and coworkers. The second option is to wipe him off the face of the planet and pretend he never existed. The pros of this are you never have to think about it again. Cons are your dad now no longer exists. So let's go ahead and get a round of applause if you would do option number 1, tell everyone. Option number 2, wipe him off the face of the planet. Would you guys believe that we did both? So am I happy about how we handle this? Not really. You guys remember how I told you that my mom and sister have the ability to fly off the handle sort of at any given time? It was extra true here. See, my mom thought that she was going to wait until my sister graduated college before telling her, and then she told her 3 hours later. And my sister does not handle bad news well anyway. This hit her like a fucking Mack truck. When my mom told her what had gone on, her face contorted into something I've never even seen before. You guys remember in Pocahontas where we meet Grandmother Willow for the first time? She's like a totally normal tree, and then out of the side a woman's face just kind of forms. It was like that. But instead of dispensing sage advice and zippy one-liners, we got a hysterical 21-year-old wailing about how she wanted to change her last name and threatening to take a belt sander to the tattoo she got memorializing her dad. She didn't do it. I mean, it's still there, but and And I don't have the ability to fly off the handle like that, right? So while my mom and sister are inside going postal, I'm in the backyard, stone-faced, wondering why my dad would have done this and what motivated him to do it, but it doesn't really play well when your mom and sister are taking a sledgehammer to your dad's desk to say something like, I don't know, people have a lot of reasons for doing what they do. Like, shut up. So, because I didn't want to get Nancy Kerrigan by my own mother, I helped smash the desk. And every day, for a week, we went down to the city dump and threw away anything that had anything to do with my dad. So, Christmas ornaments, furniture, death blanket, it's all gone. And then we removed my dad's headstone. For my mom, it didn't really make sense to have a headstone that said together forever, because that's fucking over, that's done. So, now that we have wiped him off of the face of the planet, there's sort of one thing left to do, right? Which is to tell everyone. While he was shut. So we told everybody, like everyone. For example, my dad was a major Green Bay Packer fan. And when he died, instead of sending flowers, fucking Pam got a brick engraved with my dad's name on it and a nice message to be laid at Lambeau Field where the Packers play. Do you guys want to know who knows all about my dad's proclivity for prostitutes? The customer service woman at Lambeau Field. My mom stayed on the phone with her for an hour, explaining to her exactly what my dad did, who he did it with, and why his brick was not fit to be laid at Lambeau. Her response was, her brother-in-law was recently arrested for child pornography. We are not the same kind of person. We are not dealing with the same thing. Those are not the same thing. Anyway, other recipients of this news included my dad's old boss and all of his coworkers, his brother and two sisters. We even let fucking Pam know by writing it on a piece of paper and tying it to the brick and throwing it through a window. The rest of these are not jokes. No, this is also a joke. Okay, sick. So we threw it through a window. All of these people are now very well aware of a 60-year-old man who was soliciting prostitution in Houston, Texas, and frequenting Asian handjob massage parlors no less than 6 times a month. So, where do we go from here? Well, my sister went back to college, which is amazing. Congratulations to her. She was already in it, but she did go back. And my mom stayed in the house. Now, I think a lot of times when people's spouses die, they move out because it's just too painful to be there anymore, right? My mom remodeled her house. She actually created a master suite for herself. So where my dad used to sleep is now where my mom takes her shits. But you guys know what this means. She's single. Her name is Kelly. She's from Miami. And by Miami, I mean Ohio. She's a bad bitch, but she lost her way. And now she's 58 and ready to fly.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few rules. Be nice to her, don't cheat on her, and go down on her until she passes out. Be nice to her, don't cheat on her, and go down on her until she passes out. She's feeling feisty, she's looking tasty in her tight jeans that you know are from the Gap. She wants it funny, with eyes the greenest, and lots of money, and a really big, we've never talked about that, I have no idea. Boys, you ready to date my mom?
Yeah.
Well, there's a few rules. Just take her out and hold her hand and buy her shit she doesn't need. Take her out and hold her hand and treat her like a fucking queen. That's a plan for Kelly. I will say, this is the first time that my mom, sister, and I are all in therapy at the same time. For a long time, it felt like my mom was speaking Italian, I was speaking French, my sister was speaking Spanish, emotionally, right? There is a little bit of overlap in the way that we speak because our coping mechanism is all alcohol. But therapy, yeah. But therapy taught us all how to speak American. Would you believe it if I told you that my dad never went to therapy? But if he did, there are a few things that I would have liked for him to work on. Lying, of course. It's obvious my dad lied about big things. At one point, he lied to me and said that he was drafted to the Olympic team, which I'm almost positive is not how it works. You don't get drafted. You would go to the Olympics, right? My dad never went to the Olympics. It's not like Elvis in World War II. I don't know. Okay, anyway, it's drafted to the Olympic team. But also he would lie about little shit too, right? Like he would lie about, if I said, why didn't you call me back? He would say, I didn't get a call from you, which obviously he did. And I don't know if you guys have ever been gaslit by your own dad, but it has some pretty grave consequences for how you deal with men going forward. My entire life, I have been so afraid of being cheated on, despite having never been cheated on, because I just assume that men are going to lie to me. Of course, I have never been cheated on because all of my partners, rightly, have been scared of me. Stealing. My dad stole all the time, and usually from work. So I'm sorry if he worked with my dad, but he also was probably sleeping with sex workers on the block as well. He would steal shit that we didn't even need, like a laptop charger for a laptop we didn't have, or 100 power drills, or then obviously the laptop for the charger that he just stole. I think having a lot of things made my dad feel like a big man, right? The most zip ties, the most power tools, the most ribbon. It was all in the name of filling a void that was just too big. And I'm gonna level with you here. When I found this out about my dad, it made him a more complete person to me. I won't even call my relationship with my dad one-sided. It was no-sided. At some point, we had just decided to agree to disagree on each other's personalities. My dad knew that being funny was a core tenet of my personality, or what he would call being obnoxious. My dad said to me one time, there's nothing worse than an obnoxious girl. And I said, what about an obnoxious boy? And he said, that's different. Because of course it is, right? Because when men are obnoxious, we get comedic geniuses like Joe Rogan and James Corden, right? When women are obnoxious, we get murdered. So put a 15-year-old girl in the same house with an adult man who needs to feel big, and chances are they're not going to mesh with each other very well. I remember we were close when I was younger, and I asked him one time, what happened between us? And he said, you changed, so I changed. The problem with that is that I was 12 and he was 44 years old. When you're 12, right, a lot of things are happening. You're wondering when you're going to get your first period, or kiss a boy for the first time, or get fingered for the first time, while simultaneously trying to figure out what the fuck getting fingered is. Because you don't ask anybody, because that's really embarrassing. For a long time, I thought getting fingered was when somebody put their finger in your butthole, which I guess it could be, but not in middle school. Well, if you were doing anal play in middle school, I am so scared of you. But when you're 44, right, not a lot is going on. You're just going to work, coming home, waiting for the next Jimmy Buffett album to come out, and of course, wondering when you're going to get fingered for the last time. But I guess, in a sense, in terms of toxic traits, me and my dad weren't all that different, right? Lying, stealing, occasionally pretending we didn't know each other's friends' names as a power play. That one actually I never did. In fact, when I was around 7, I had a very inappropriate crush on my dad's friend, Henry Phillips. So much so that when I got my new girl puppy for Christmas, I wanted to name her Henry Phillips. But slowly, right, we all moved on. I got married to the boyfriend who killed my dad. My sister graduated college, and my mom got a dog who she named Carl with a K so that they could have the same initials, a thing that she did not do with either of her human children. And all the while, my dad sat in an unmarked grave. And yeah, he was a shithead. He made a ton of terrible decisions, which resulted in him going through what I can only describe as a one-sided post-mortem divorce. So, a year and 364 days after my dad died, my sister and I decided to mark the grave. Not because he deserved it, but because we did. Plus, what better way to decorate for Halloween? I've grown up a lot the last 3 years or so. In lots of ways I'd have preferred not to know. When moms and dads leave all their shit on the table, I truly do not feel able. But one lesson I've learned throughout this journey is my dad never really set out to hurt me. He's a careless man who disregarded our feelings, and no, the ship hasn't been healing. But sometimes our parents suck, that much we know is true. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, or fucking strangers for money, this could easily be you. My dad always said my mouth would get me in trouble, but all it really got me was this fucking hot husband. And I'll take that over a pie-average chub and a foot from a stranger. And maybe you're lucky and your parents are awesome, and this final song is me projecting on you. But if there's one thing you need to take away from the show, it's periodically change your passwords. So sometimes our parents suck, don't let it drive you mad. While it might be your mom who leaves behind a big mess, it's almost surely gonna be your dad. So sometimes our parents suck, but they don't know your power. And most importantly, I wanna say thanks to you for giving me unbroken attention for over